Okay, I learnt two things from editing together yesterday's vlog. Wow, my hair is big this morning. That's the thing I've learnt from today's vlog. Haircut urgently required. Thing number one, I need to seriously up my game before Anna and Andy just take over the vlog and I have to just become their editor slash cameraman. And two, I'm not sure we've made it clear enough just how much of a big deal yesterday was. He went out, there were no problems. That's amazing. We need more of that. So in the spirit of upping my game, we'll try and do a behind the scenes of a teacher. Don't know how behind the scenes we're going to be able to go, because obviously I can't film any kids or anything but outside of this office. I'll see what I can do. It's Cake Thursday. An important piece of behind the scenes information is just how much free time I have. As a head of department type person, a middle leader, I get more free periods anyway. Give me time to do all the stuff related to that. Smoothman's here.
Hi.
But because I've now handed in my notice like months ago, all that extra stuff I did in those free periods, they're now doing. They've taken all my responsibilities off of me, but I still get the time. Plus, there's time from the fact that my year 11s, my year 13s, all my exam people have left. So I'm teaching like 5 lessons a week at the moment, with no planning for next year to do. Not really anything in the way of marking to do, but a load of people to torment, one of which is over there.
I don't do any of that. That's you, to me.
So this is how I spend my day. First order of business, logging into my personal computer via hotspot so I can go on the internet properly and check on all my YouTubey stuff, check my emails, maybe write a book. Why not? I'll write a book. While my laptop is charging, I have the important business of sending these headphones back to Amazon. I haven't done it yet, and that needs to be done. So this is going to be quite a task. I have tape, I have scissors. This is like wrapping presents. I'm not very good at this stuff. And he doesn't like being in the background of vlogs, so this is going to be a good way to get the office to myself all day. Every time he comes in, and then I just walk out. It's brilliant. As promised on yesterday's vlog, we have a response from Andy's school. Shall I read the whole letter? I'm not going to read the whole letter to you this time. The highlights are basically that they've forwarded the letter from his doctor from CAMS, the consultant psychiatrist, and are just going fully by what the first line of this letter says. So if we start with the letter from the consultant psychiatrist, we're not naming names anymore, I'm trying to be a grown-up this week. But the first line of this, and the reason that all these problems have been caused, and I have appealed this and asked for this letter to be rewritten to better reflect the actual situation. But the first line of this letter is, "Thank you for your letter dated asking for my opinion on Andrew's medical fitness to return to school. Andrew has autism and prominent anxiety symptoms and, as you know, has been spending almost all of his time recently at home. However, he has recently improved with the prescription of the antidepressant fluoxetine. When I last saw Andrew in clinic, he appeared significantly and, interestingly, also appeared physically healthier. I thus cannot think of a medical reason why he should not now return to school." He does go on to say, however, such a move back to school should of course be performed sensitively and perhaps in a graded fashion to allow Andrew to become accustomed again to the school routine. However, with time, I would hope that he would be able to again attend school on a full-time basis. This letter is dated the 17th of May 2017. So as of the 17th of May 2017, the school have put every single absence down as unauthorised. They've completely disregarded the part about a sensitive and graded return to school, and in time hopefully he'll be able to be back. As far as the school are concerned, he is fit to return from the moment this letter was written. Therefore, every absence since then is not authorised. So there's blame on both sides here. The consultant psychiatrist, to be fair, probably didn't know exactly what the letter was being used for, maybe. I don't really know the situation, but could have worded it a little bit better. And we've got Andy's got an appointment with him at the start of the summer holidays in a couple of weeks. So if it's not been sorted by then, I'll sit over him while he writes a new letter. But in the meantime, I've appealed through CAMS and said, look, are you serious? I thought you were supposed to be about mental health. This is what the school are asking us to do. We've got to physically force him to attend school. What's that going to do to his mental health? And on top of safety and stuff for us and for him. So there's that. But then the school are just so, they're being so heavy-handed with it. It's so unnecessary. And I realise I might have been a little heavy-handed with them last week, but in my defence, they started it. See, I'm not being a grown-up anymore. Grown-upness has been abandoned. They started it. They deserved it. Don't send them any more emails, please. I'm slightly regretting that part of it in my capacity as trying to act as a grown-up. But the general gist of this is we've got a letter from the doctor saying he has to be in school, so shut your face and get him to school. Is the general gist of the letter. They also confirm that because I have daily care and control of Andrew, whatever that means, along with actively participating in discussions in relation to the attendance in conjunction with Anna, under education law, I'm defined as being his parent. Which is interesting. Didn't realise it was, bearing in mind, I'm a teacher, education law. That's interesting. Didn't know that was a thing. Pretty sure I'm still not classed as his parent, legally, in any capacity, anywhere. If Anna was in a car crash and died, for example, and he was at school, I'm not entirely sure they'd send him home to me. I'd have to check it out. I don't know that that's the case though, because I'm pretty sure when we registered him with the school, we had to give them details of who his next of kin after Anna was. And it wasn't me, because legally it's not me. So we are at the point now where I think we're going to get some legal advice. We're taking the battle off the vlog for a little while. We'll still keep you updated with what's going on, but I don't know that we achieved very much with what we did last week. Thank you very much to those of you who did do it, and it made us feel an awful lot better at the time, but I don't think we achieved very much, and we've put everyone involved massively on the defensive now, to the point where I emailed CAMS last night, I've not had a response. I've emailed the social worker 4 times over the last 7 days and haven't had a response. I emailed the school several times and I only got a response when I then emailed the chair of governors at the school and started a formal complaints procedure against the school, at which point they had to follow their complaints procedure, and that's why they've sent this letter as part of that. I really don't want to have to go down the route of making a formal complaint against social services and a formal complaint against CAMS. If that's the only way to get these people to talk to us, then that's what I'm going to have to do, but I don't want to have to. Hence, we're going to get legal advice. We're also looking into what the situation around homeschooling is. It's an option, but the difficulty with homeschooling is there is absolutely no funding available for it. So it's a massive, massive decision for us to make, because it changes a lot of what September is. Anna will obviously still go off to uni, but I'm going to be less full-time YouTuber and more full-time home carer teacher person for him, I guess. And that means we'll then struggle to pay the bills, which means I then might have to go back to work, which means there'll be no one at home to homeschool him, because I'll be at work and Anna will be at uni, so it gets us into this whole heap of mess because there's no funding available for it. So it might be a real short-term solution, but because he's in a special school, we can't just tell the local authority that he's not going anymore. Like you can in a normal secondary school, you can just say, yeah, he's homeschooled, and that's it. But when they're in a special school, you have to get permission from the local authority. So we'll have to, and they're not talking to us, so we'll have to get their permission to withdraw him from mainstream education. And then our plan would be to immediately re-register him and try and get him into the school we want him to be in. So get him a school transfer via the back door, because they at the bottom of this letter, that's the big thing. Where is it? In relation to Andrew's educational needs, I believe that these can be met by Willoughby School. They still refuse to accept that they can't meet his educational needs, despite in 18 months not sending a single piece of work home for him to do. They're adamant that they're doing their bit. So watch this space. It's obviously not good news. Keep the positivity flowing our way. It certainly helps when we're getting really miserable about it, but I don't know. we've got this child in need meeting next Friday, which is going to be really interesting because it's going to be me, Anna, the principal of the school, the social worker, the representative from CAMS, and bless her, the representative from his respite care that he goes to. She probably just needs to stay in her car because they're doing good. Everyone else is getting both barrels, and for a start I'm going to ask them to explain themselves and why they've just started ignoring us. Said to Anna that I want notes to prove that they were off sick or on holiday, because there's no other excuse for a social worker particularly to completely ignore the family of a child who is under supervision is perhaps not the right word, but who is attached to a social worker. Bearing in mind the email I sent to her yesterday was, look, we've had this letter from school which says we either have to take a fine, risk going to court, or physically force him to go to school. They're the two options we've been presented with. What do you want us to do? We can't go to jail. Now, if that doesn't set off a million alarm bells of a social worker, I don't know what has, but she's just ignored it for 24 hours and not got back to us. On top of the fact that she was copied in to the original email that was sent to the school last week. So we're feeling very much abandoned by the whole system at the moment. So we are going to take legal advice. I need to work out a way to do that that's not going to cost us a fortune. I think while I'm still a teacher I can get it through my teaching union, so we're going to go down that route. Failing that, it'll probably be attached to the house insurance or something. There must be somewhere where we can get some preliminary legal advice without having to go pay a solicitor £80 an hour, or probably even more than that. I don't even know how much a solicitor costs. And I think we'll probably contact our MP as well and just try and go over their heads a little bit and say, look, are you aware what's going on in Lincolnshire? I don't know if this is a national thing or if this is just us, but it's rubbish and it needs fixing. So I wish it was better news, but it's not. And now I'm going to go and take a tasty lasagna out of the oven. Anna's just stood there for 10 minutes patiently watching all of it because she didn't want to come on camera but wanted to watch what was going on, and she's just glaring at me now. I don't know how much of that you heard because the microphone's facing the wrong way, but what her worry is that if it gets to the point where, and we would obviously pay the fine if it came to it, we'd have to, but if it got to the point where they decided to send Anna to prison because of his non-attendance at school, which is one of the things they can do. This is why it's so ridiculous that they're saying that I should be taking him to school and I have parental responsibility, because there's a situation where she could be sent to prison because he's not going to school, and he would then be taken into care because I don't have any parental responsibility for him. So because of that being the ultimate end result, she goes to prison, he goes into care, I don't get a say, then I don't think that they should be allowed to insist that I take him to school as part of the evidence towards justifying why it gets to that point in the first place. It's kind of using, I'm involved in the process when it's convenient for them, and when it's convenient for them to pretend I don't exist, they pretend I don't exist. And it's very frustrating. See you tomorrow.